When I was modeling, the number one DM I would get on Instagram were from young girls reaching out to me asking how to become a model. And honestly, all I could respond was, don't. So many people dream about becoming a model. It's seen as glamorous and aspirational. There are thousands of videos that talk about how to become one, but far fewer talk about what it's actually like. I was a part of that world. I was signed with one of the world's biggest and most elite modeling agencies. I walked New York, London, Paris, and Milan fashion weeks, and it was nothing like what I expected. Here are 8 very real and very hard lessons I learned as a fashion model. I'm a little nervous. I think it's just incredibly personal and vulnerable, and while I'm excited and happy to share this story because I do think that so many people have had similar experiences. And so even if I'm just one more voice, I hope I can be one more voice in a path to change it. So the first lesson I learned is that the second you start modeling, your body no longer belongs to you. And I'm not saying that this is how it should be, to be extremely clear. Your body should and always should belong to you. But the industry takes that, and it's hard to combat. You're constantly being touched, poked, and prodded. You're being compared to other people. For me, I really lost a connection with my own body. I started to hate the vessel that I was in, which is a strange thing to hate, seeing as it's what's giving you life. I developed an eating disorder in an effort to maintain the same body that I had when I was originally scouted. So I was scouted when I was like 16, 17, and that body changed, as most women's bodies do, around 18, 19. And so I fought that change with everything I had. I had a saying that a 10K a day kept the centimeters away. And so I would measure myself every day to make sure that I was where I wanted to be, which are incredibly difficult standards to maintain and incredibly unhealthy standards to maintain for everyone. I remember once when I was modeling, I woke up from a nightmare, and my nightmare was that I was eating too much. And hear me out. In my dream, I ate an entire cucumber, and that was too much because at the time, I would eat about 1/3 of a cucumber a day. And so I woke up feeling like, oh my goodness, I have to go for a run, I have to go work out because I ate a whole cucumber. So, lesson number 2, beauty does not equate to protection. This is a hard one to elaborate on. The industry is one that has really normalized a lot of predatory practices. The majority of the workforce is like 16 to 20-year-old women and then like 40-year-old men. Let me know how you think that plays out. When you're modeling, there's no such thing as boundaries, personal, professional, or otherwise. Again, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be. I'm just letting you know what my experience was like. I felt like nobody there to protect me or to be on my side. It's pretty crazy. You definitely put yourself in risky positions. I mean, castings, I think, are an interesting thing in which you basically spend all day going from one place to another. Let me be clear what these places are. Sometimes they're studios. Sometimes they're headquarters for a brand or a magazine. Sometimes they're hotel rooms. Sometimes they're in the middle of Manhattan. Sometimes they're 2 hours away at someone's personal residence. It's an incredibly vulnerable position to be in. You're in a place that you don't know, surrounded by people that you don't know, being asked to undress and photographed. And this is expected standard behavior of the industry. It's not an exception. It wasn't just one time. This is normalized. There's a huge imbalance of power, even though there shouldn't be. There's the illusion of an imbalance of power. Lesson number 3, it's expensive. Being a model is an expensive job. There's a lot of upkeep, maintenance, travel, and you pay for it all. There is a very, very, very common illusion that models kind of just live this glamorous life and everything is paid for and they just get facials all day and are happy. None of that for the majority of models is the case, and if it is, you're paying for it. I had this surprise once where my agency sent me to get a haircut, which is a pretty normal thing that happens. At the end of the month, I get a bill for 180 euros of a haircut that I paid for, in which nobody could tell. I was not informed at all, and yet I got the bill for it at the end. And this is just one example. It happened with all of my flights, all of my hotels, everything. The agency would be like, "We got you covered, babe," and then I would pay for it. The problem is here, I wouldn't mind paying for it. I'm not expecting to get things for free, but I would be expected to be told exactly how much it is, to be asked, and to maybe be able to book it myself so I can compare prices. And then I paid interest for them paying for it up front. Anyway, it's just a very expensive job to start. I have friends who ended up in debt to their agencies rather than making money. Could you imagine doing a job and ending up more in debt? It happens to so many models. Whoa. Oh no, Louie, no barking right now. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually mean to wake you. I didn't actually mean to wake you, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Another lesson I learned is that you might not get paid for a job and nobody will care. It sounds crazy to say that you're doing work for free, but that's 100% the case that's happening. You are working for quote unquote exposure. You are working sometimes with the expectations of a fee, and that just never comes. Nobody has your back. You are advocating for yourself. And another problem is that when I was modeling, there was no regulation in place to protect me or other models from retaliation. Lesson 5, you will be objectified and potentially replaced, sometimes in the same moment. I can't even begin to count the amount of times I was objectified. It's basically just a daily occurrence. Kind of goes hand in hand with the lesson earlier about your body is no longer yours. I had another experience where I went to a casting and the casting director didn't say a single word to any model. We were lined up sitting in a hallway for like 2 hours. And then finally it was my turn to go. And he is sitting at a desk at the end of this hallway. And instead of being like, "Hey, like, what's your name? Can you walk for me?" or something, he just goes. And so I start walking and he goes, which I assumed was stop, turn around, right? And then you do that and then he went. And that was it. It's absurd. Oh, it's making me angry thinking about it again. Lesson number 6. People will assume you're dumb and they will not want to be proved otherwise. It's a stereotype. I get it, whatever. But it's funny how much people won't want to be proved wrong on this. They will stand their ground. People assume that your opinion is completely worthless. I had this constant pressure to try to overcompensate intellectually. I would honestly really struggle with telling people that I was a model because people would just assume all of these things about me. I felt like all of a sudden I wasn't a person. Like it wasn't just my job, like it was actually who I was and it defined parts of me. This is kind of a myth bust and a lesson learned in one, which is people often assume that models have like a lot of animosity towards one another, that it's hyper competitive, but it's not. In my experience, it was completely the opposite. The models that I saw, that I interacted with, were some of the most brilliant, hardworking, and thoughtful, kind people I know. It was my support group. I use this word lightly, but I actually do mean it. I think we were in some way trauma bonded, meaning like we had all lived this experience. It was all outside of our control. Your entire career is up to the whim of some other person. There's just a lot of positivity between models, I find. I remember once I had just been cut from a show and I passed this model and we had seen each other before, but we weren't friends. I don't know her name. I still don't know her name. And we walked past each other and she stopped and she looked at me and she saw me crying. She came over, gave me a hug, didn't say anything. I don't even know if we spoke the same language. Kind of just gave me a nod and then we kept walking. I don't know. I can't think of a better anecdote of just how incredible and supportive the people and the models in this space are. And I'm not confining it to just models. There's amazing photographers, stylists, hair, makeup, a lot of people in this space that are really cool. So for me, that was really one of the highlights of my experience. And lesson 8. And this is a lesson that maybe is misleading because I actually didn't learn it until after I left modeling. But lesson 8 is that you can take back control and you can take that power back. Since I stopped modeling officially, I have discovered so many amazing people who are working to make the industry better. There's Sarah Ziff and the Model Alliance, an amazing nonprofit organization that works tirelessly to advocate and regulate this space. In fact, the Fashion Workers Act is a bill that I support and worked to get through in Albany, and it starts to regulate agencies against a lot of the things I just spoke about in this video. And even beyond joining such groups, there's also just the realization that all of these lessons were learned in the first place, that I did lose control over my own body and I have regained it. I now know how and when to set boundaries, especially as it relates to my personal safety. I now advocate for myself and understand my own worth and that my work deserves to be compensated, and how a lot of things about beauty and success can be defined for you if you let them, but ultimately it is you who has to define it for yourself. And I think that that's been something I'm still working on. I don't know if that's actually something that really ever comes to a complete end, but it's been really empowering to do. I know this is an interesting topic for a lot of people. Becoming a model is an aspirational job for especially young girls. If you watch this entire video, just know that I'm incredibly grateful for you listening, and hopefully you can share this with anyone you think it could help.